returning home. The artist Sonia Clarke is famous for using textiles as well as human hair and combs throughout her work. She uses her pieces to explore race, racism and American history, calling attention to the roots of racial injustice. Her display, Tatter, Bristle and Mend, is showing at the moment at the National Museum of Women in the Arts here in Washington, the artist's own hometown.
I work with hair because I think that it is one of the ways that we can conjure our ancestors. It's the fiber that we grow, but in it is also our DNA. That is to say that it's a repository of all those who have come before us. So all your great-great-grandfathers and grandmothers and everybody beyond is in a strand of hair.
The canvas here, this is the artist.
And I think of hairdressing and hair itself as being the primordial textile art form. So weaving is a textile art form, but also hairdressing is a textile art form. So hair bonds us together, but it also simultaneously separates us because of racial constructs. And then how we wear our hair tells us a lot about who we are in society, how we are in society, what kind of music we're listening to, what kind of agency we have. Unraveling is a piece that I first started in 2015, which was the 150th anniversary of the end of the Civil War. I invited people to join me shoulder to shoulder to, just with our hands, unravel this contentious symbol, the Confederate battle flag. So it takes a fair amount of work to unravel it. And for some people that's incredibly frustrating. They just want it to be over. They want to rip it down, shred it up. We all know cloth, but we actually don't understand its structure and how difficult it is to undo it. And that's a little bit like white supremacy in this nation. Like, it's all around us, and yet the undoing of it is something that takes attention and time and diligence, and I would also say solidarity. So there's a lot of reckoning that needs to be done. What is incredibly disappointing is the re-reckonings keep happening around the modern day lynching of Black and brown people. So blood has to be shed for people to understand that racism is perhaps the worst pandemic that we've been suffering from for all these years. So we have people realizing, once again, all of the injustices that there are in this nation. And then we have an insurrection on January 6th, which shows just how much white privilege there is in this nation. Because we know that if those were Black and brown people, they wouldn't even gotten close to doing the damage that they did. So, of course, my work is political, but it is not only political. If someone only sees it as political, then that flattens something about the work. My work also celebrates culture. It calls out injustice, it celebrates humanity, it is personal, it's collective. There are lots of things, hopefully, in the work. There's this great quote by Paul Robeson that the artist must make a choice whether to fight for freedom or for slavery. And the point is that I have no choice. As a Black woman in America, my life depends on this nation reckoning with its injustices. But more than that, it's not just personal. If the United States of America doesn't fulfill its promise of a multiracial democracy, it will undo itself.
Sonia Clarke, and you can see her exhibition until the end of June here in Washington if you happen to be visiting. Now, before we go, during this pandemic,